All right, everybody, welcome. My name is John Cottrell. This is Soft Flow. This is a 1 hour gentle yoga practice. We just take our time in this class where we just move slowly, really pay attention to ourselves and what our needs are for the day. And we also like to use a lot of props as another way to help support our bodies while we practice and move together. So, of course, you might want to have something soft to sit on and kneel on, like a blanket. So make sure you have a blanket. And I would also recommend a couple of blocks or something that you can stack, like a couple of books or just something that just lifts the floor up, just giving you a little bit more ability to move. And we'll be using the blocks in one of our poses today where these might come in handy. And then maybe like a big pillow or a cushion. This is a yoga bolster. So something like a sofa cushion or again, a big pillow might also be nice. I like to use this at the end in our Shavasana practice, but you can also just use it as something soft to sit on. So in our practice today, I thought we would focus, I like doing things with hips, opening hips, because we tend to have tight hips. So we're going to be doing hips and hip flexors today, just as far as releasing and opening. And in some of our postures, and particularly the one we'll be using, the blocks, we're going to be holding postures a little bit longer than we typically do. And I'll invite you to use the props to support you. I'll also suggest that, if we seem to be holding a pose too long for you, feel free to move out of the pose or find an alternative. And I'll remind you as we get to those postures, knowing that we will be spending a little bit more time in holding some of our positions today. So that's our focus. So let's go ahead and start in a comfortable seat. I'm sitting in a half lotus. This is comfortable for me, but you can sit in a way that feels best for you. And I'm also sitting on my soft blanket. You can unfold your legs, extend your legs, even sit up against a wall if that feels more comfortable for you, or in a chair for this first part. We'd like to come to stillness. So maybe you're sitting up nice and tall on your comfortable seat. You're invited to close your eyes or even just soften your eyes a little bit, taking a soft gaze forward or downward, just so you can begin your journey and let that journey guide you inside. Move inward. And let your breath guide you inward. So just pay attention to your breathing. You might breathe in a way that you can feel your breath as it moves through your body. You want to be able to hear your breath. So you might need to turn up the volume of your breath just a little bit. And just continue to breathe slowly, deeply, just to help you connect, continue this journey inward, bringing yourself to this moment. The more that you can feel and hear your breath, it allows you to focus on this moment. It even pushes away the distractions of what's going on outside of you or around you. Slow, steady breaths. And just bring a little bit more energy to your breath if you're able. All you have to do is just breathe a little slower. So if you can, a nice full breath in where you can imagine your breath rising to fill up your lungs. You might even sit up a little taller here too. Then exhale, and as you release the breath, you want to connect to your center. As you exhale, you want to feel your belly button pull in towards your spine as a way to contract your abdominal muscles. Doesn't have to be too strong. It's just an awareness of your center, this connection you're making with your body. This is called the abdominal lock, and when we engage that section of the body, it really helps us to do something like this, actually just sit up nice and tall. It will help us to move. It braces and supports our bodies while we're in motion. So continue to breathe in fully and deeply, feeling the breath rise to fill up your lungs. And your exhale, drawing navel inward toward your spine. Again, that light contraction of your abdominal muscles. Feeling this connection to center. And just take 3 more breaths like this. From here, we'll start our moving meditation. Very simple movement. With your breath, you'll move your body. You'll inhale and extend your arms out across the room, reaching up into the air. So a nice full stretch. Then exhale, extend your arms out with some good effort as if you're going to touch the walls on either side of you, and bring your arms back down by your side. Then take a new breath in, reaching out, fully expanding, reaching and stretching. Reach all the way up. Good. Then exhale, extend your arms out and back down. Now just continue to breathe and move at your own pace. Taking your time. Perhaps as you reach out, it really does feel like you'll touch the walls and then the ceiling. And as you exhale, bringing the arms down, don't forget to draw your navel inward toward your spine, contracting your abdominal muscles. As you move in slow motion, just notice the sensations that arise in your body. Of course, the extended arms reaching up, energy in your hands and fingers, maybe a lengthening through the sides of your body. Just continue to flow. Very good. Finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. Notice your shoulders, nice movement in that area of your body. Lifting and lengthening through your spine, because as you reach up, you might feel like you're growing a little taller in your seat. And then when you're done, just bring your arms down by your side. You can even just let them rest in your lap. Let everything relax here for a moment, and just return to steady breath. Return to stillness, relaxation, and just notice how you're feeling at this moment. Now from here, you're just going to bring your hands behind you. You're just going to lean back into your hands or even your fingertips if you happen to be lifted up a little higher in your seat. And as you bring the hands behind you, also feel the shoulders draw back. As the shoulders draw back, it moves the chest forward a bit. And we're going to tip the chin up a little bit here too, okay? This prepares the body, and here we go. Now we'll inhale, just press into the ground with the hands. Feel the energy in your arms. As you breathe in, just feel your breath rising upward, filling up your lungs. Exhaling, again, drawing navel inward. Feel the abdominal lock engagement. Let's keep adding sensation. Again, inhale, press into the ground with the hands. Feel the energy in your arms, shoulders draw back, chin lifted. Fill up your lungs. Exhaling, pull belly in. And if you can, squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. So we're activating the upper back muscles, just bringing more attention, more awareness to the body. We're also seated in what I would call a mild back bend or heart opener. Chin lifted slightly, shoulders rolled back, so it really does open up the heart space. Take 2 more breaths right here. And after your second breath, just lower your chin. Walk your hands towards yourself to sit up tall. And then from here, take another breath in to extend your arms back up into the air, a way to re-extend the spine. Lifting and lengthening, exhale, bring your hands back down by your side. And again, just relax here. Maybe just let your hands rest on your lap, shoulders relaxed, easy breath. So since that was our mild back bend, let's take a forward fold. If you happen to have your legs crossed, we're going to uncross the legs and then reposition them so your feet, the soles of the feet touch, knees will be bent and open out to the side. This is really our first hip opener, and I really like this one. This is cobbler's pose. Now you might want to use your blocks or books or even some soft pillows and just place them underneath your knees like this. I'm even going to turn my blocks up a little bit. And just let your legs relax, literally just relax open, resting on the blocks, because we really want them to relax. And then just hold on anywhere along your legs so it's easy for you to sit up nice and tall. You might even hold on to the legs to allow yourself to sit up tall like that, a little pull to extend the spine. Keep your focus forward. We'll take a breath in, feel the breath rising, once again filling up your lungs. We'll exhale, pull belly in. Then leading with the heart and chin, hinge forward from your hips just a tiny bit. Now, if you can see me, I didn't move very far at all, just hinging forward a tiny bit. Stay here as you now inhale, another full length of spine in this new angled posture. Exhale, pull belly in and hinge forward a tiny bit more. And that's really the idea of most of our practice is we take full deep breaths, but our movements are slow, very small, so that we don't disturb really this relaxation we really want to maintain throughout the body. It also allows us to move steadily deeper into poses, and that's one of the reasons why we're going to be holding some postures. So we're really going to take our time. And it's also training the body, your brain and your body, really, so that as you feel your body kind of moving into maybe an unfamiliar position, bodily position, or even a stressful situation, because some of these things can feel kind of stressful, but we're able to maintain a sense of calmness as we step into this stressful situation. So just continue to fold a little bit. It's okay if your head lowers, your back might even round a little bit. Notice these changes in the body. Maybe because of the rounded back, you may feel this in your back, as well as the stretch in the inner thighs. And if you lower your chin, this might lengthen kind of the back side of your neck. And we'll take 3 more breaths. So this is just our cobbler's pose, or the more formal name is bound angle pose. And when we're done, just go ahead and lift your chin, just look forward a tiny bit, just to lengthen through the neck and spine. Maybe use your hands or fingertips on your mat to help press and lift yourself up. Just guide your way back up until you're sitting up nice and tall in your seat. And again, we'll just pause here as everything comes back to neutral. Take a breath or two. Nice. Let's transition. If you were using some blocks or pillows on the knees, let's move those to the side. We're going to come to our hands and knees. So just take your time and maneuver yourself so you can bring your body to your hands and knees. You might use something soft like a blanket to protect your knee joints and your wrists. So you might kneel on them just like this in this little tabletop posture. So just join me here. And once we're here, we're going to move into 2 poses, cat and cow, and of course they flow together. We're going to inhale, lift head and heart, just the arching of the back very slightly. Exhale, round your spine, and your chin will come in towards your chest. The back will round. Pull belly button up towards spine. Reverse it. Inhale, look up or look forward, which opens the chest. Your pelvis will tip back, which creates that back bend feeling in the body. Exhale, we'll round that out, tucking the tailbone underneath. Belly button pulls up towards spine. Feel the rounded back, chin to chest. And just continue to flow through these 2 poses. Again, take your time with the movement. As you breathe in and open the heart, exhale, we round it out, engaging your core center. And as you steadily create more space in the body in this flowing action through the torso, you might be able to go a little deeper, meaning your inhale moving into your cow pose or that back bend. At first, it might have been kind of mild, but maybe you can take it a little bit deeper, a little bit more of a back bend. And same when you round your back. You can really pull the belly button up, really tuck chin in towards chest, and feel that nice broadening of the back. So let that be a gradual transition. So maybe the movement starts pretty gentle and mild, and then just kind of adding a little bit to it, not too much. Let's finish the breath that you're on, and we'll take 2 more. Just flowing and moving with your own breath. And when you're complete, just return to your hands and knees, or this neutral position right here, actually, in this tabletop posture, just for a second or two. Now, if you're using a blanket for some padding, let's crawl off the blanket. Let's move the blanket to the side, but not too far away, because we will need that again. So just have it nearby where you can easily grab it, and then return to your hands and knees. And we'll get ready for our next pose, downward facing dog. So if your hands are directly underneath your shoulders right here, we'll step the hands forward. So your hands are out from underneath your shoulders. Spread out your fingers pretty wide as you step them forward so you can feel that stretch between the fingers. And then push your hands firmly into the mat so it flattens your palms. It stretches your hands. I mean, just think about the tension we even hold in our hands. Press into the ground so your arms are straight and strong. Maintain that sensation. Then you're going to tuck your toes behind you. From here, we'll inhale, look forward, slight arch in the back. So I call this a mini cow pose. Then exhale, round it out into a mini cat pose. Hold this cat position. Keep pressing hands into the ground, but lift knees off the mat. Lift your hips up into the air. You might need to make some adjustments by stepping forward a tiny bit with the feet. Maybe an adjustment of your hands. I like to take mine a little bit wider to bring more space in the shoulders. Settle here for a second or two. Now we're going to move. Look at the space between your hands and start walking, stepping, both feet near the top of the mat, just near the hands or to a place where your feet are flat on your mat. We're in a deep forward fold. From here, we'll inhale and just slide your hands lightly up the legs until you reach your knees or your thighs, extending your spine so your torso is parallel to the ground. Your focus is directly down. You can see your mat. Exhale, we'll fold back down toward your toes. And if you like, you can just bend your knees a lot in order for you to touch your toes or the ground. Or you might want to rise up a little bit. Maybe your back's a little sensitive today and you want to be up a little higher. Just rest your hands on your shins or even on your thighs, just at a place where you feel a bit more supported. You can even bring those blocks back in, maybe like this, and use them as little walking sticks or just some raised ground sensation. You just kind of lean into the blocks, and this feels very supportive as well. Now we're going to get ready to stand. So let's set up the body. First, you'll just start to shift your body weight back towards your heels, so your hips move back a little bit. Bend your knees and feel like your hips are going down to sit down into a low chair. Look forward to extend your spine. Extend your arms out to the side. Push the feet into the ground to help straighten your legs. Stand up and start reaching up into the air. There you go. Reach tall, then exhale. Bring your arms down by your side. We'll pause here and just turn your palms forward. This just puts us in a nice postured place. Roll shoulders naturally rolled back. A couple of breaths here. Very good. Let's just do a half salute where we'll fold and come back down. So go ahead and inhale, reach into the air. Exhale, spread your wings or just take your arms out to the side. Bend your knees and feel like you're sitting back and down into a chair. Bend your knees a whole lot. Fold forward. Let the hands drop. Let your head come down. There's your forward fold. Inhale, slide your hands up to your knees or thighs, extending long through your torso. Exhale, back down toward your toes. You can pause at your shins if you like. Then once again, shifting your weight back into your heels. Bend your knees, let the hips drop, look forward. Extend your arms out to the side, drive feet into the ground, stand up nice and tall, reach into the air. Then this time, exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Good. And just pause here. Take several breaths. Excellent. All right, let's guide our bodies through a full sun salutation. Let's just keep adding mobility throughout the body. Here we go. Inhale, let's take the arms into the air, reach for the ceiling. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees, sit back and down into your imaginary chair. Folding slowly and carefully, your back will round. Let the hands drop, let your head drop. Inhale, slide your hands back up to your knees or thighs. Draw that straight line in your spine. On the exhale, bend your knees a whole lot here. Let the back round, and then place your palms flat on your mat in front of you and start walking both of your feet back until you're in plank pose or a high push-up position. Hold for a moment. This is a good strength-building posture. Breathe in. And as you exhale, bend your knees a little like you're going to kneel down, but send your hips into the air. This is our return to downward facing dog. Take the time to adjust your feet and your hands. And we're going to hold here a little bit longer than the first time. And of course, if you ever get a little tired, you can always bring your knees down to the ground and rest. Take maybe 3 breaths here. We still want to have that same breathing sensation. You're inhaling to fill up your lungs, and the exhale to draw in your belly. Now we're going to continue with our lunging sequence here. When you're ready, and inhale, you're going to lift your right foot and extend it back behind you, strong and straight. Then exhale, bend your right knee. Bring that right knee in underneath you towards your chest, shifting your whole body forward so your shoulders are over your wrists. Just take a look at them. Then set your right foot down. Now it's just on the mat somewhere. Then bring your left knee to the mat. Now you might need to reach back, literally pick up your right foot and place it up higher on the mat near your right hand, like this. Relift that left knee. We need to find balance because the weight is forward. So we need to pull the hips back towards the back edge of the mat until your hands feel a bit lighter. You can start to rise, maybe just to this place right here. My fingertips are touching the ground, but there's no weight on them. So I have a nice extended spine. Now bring your hands up to your thigh. Press into your thigh and literally press to lift yourself up, and we'll pause here at 45 degrees. Lengthening through the torso. We also want to feel lengthening in that back leg. So the left heel is trying to press back. I call that an anchor. Now for stability, you want to squeeze the legs in towards each other. It will engage your leg muscles, then engage your belly with that exhale. Now sweep the arms out to the side, rise up, reach up into the air, touch the ceiling, and then bend both knees a little bit so we're in a nice lunge. We're going to hold here. This is really getting us ready for the pose that we're going to be holding. Okay, we're going to be doing a lunging sensation, and this is kind of the beginning of it. That comes a little bit later. And we're going to inhale, lift up a little bit so we can turn that whole back leg, bring the heel to the floor. Yes, and turn your body sideways, and your arms come down to parallel like this. This is Warrior 2. Now we'll follow the right hand forward, reaching out over the right thigh to angle the upper half of the body. Good. Rotate your arms. Your right arm will come down. If your arm or hand is braced on the inner right thigh as you reach up into the air with the left hand. Now, if your shoulder's a little sensitive, then maybe you want to bring your arm down. Maybe you want to move it down by your side, or feel like even like you're reaching towards the wall behind you, okay? I just did a little variation of the pose here because this could be a little sensitive on the left shoulder. Let's breathe in. We're going to exhale carefully, turn the torso towards the floor, bend slowly, place your palms onto the mat. Lift your left heel so you're on your toes again. Push hands firmly into the mat so your arms are strong. Maybe lifting your hips slightly so you can move or slide the right foot back or return to plank pose. Hold. Bend your knees slightly, send your hips into the air, downward facing dog. Make some adjustments if you need to. Again, we're going to hold for about 3 breaths. Strong hands.
Pushing firmly into the ground to keep your shoulders strong and your arms straight and strong. Maintain that sensation. When you're ready, inhale now, lifting the left foot, reaching back with the leg. Exhale, bend this left knee, bring it in underneath you towards your chest or chin. Shifting your body forward, shoulders are over the wrists. We're setting the toes down, just set them down. Then set your right knee down. Because we want to reach back, pick up the left foot, and just place it up a little higher on the mat next to the left hand. Now relift the right knee. The weight is forward, so feel your hips being pulled back towards the back edge of your mat. Feel the lightness in the hands so you can rise up to your fingertips to help start this extended spine. Now bring your hands up to your thigh. You're really just kind of leveraging yourself. Push into the thigh to help lift yourself up to about 45 degrees so the torso as straight as can be. Anchor behind you with the right heel pushing back. Squeeze inner thighs towards each other. Feel the strength here. Pull belly in for more stability. Sweep your arms out. Reach up. Lift up. Bending both knees slightly so you're settling into your lunge. Hold. Maybe already feeling hip flexors, especially on the right side. That stretching sensation. We're going to be working a little bit more with that area. Let's inhale, lift. Pivot right heel to the floor. You'll turn sideways. Bring your arms down to parallel. Reach across the room. Just be sure your left knee is pointing forward here as well. Let's follow the left hand forward, reaching out to angle the upper half of the body. Let's rotate the arms. Left hand or left arm braced on the inner left leg. Right hand reaching up into the air. Same thing. If your arm or shoulder is a little sensitive, you can just bring it down, even all the way down. Maybe it's just resting on your right side. Perfectly fine to do. Just find what works best and what feels right at this moment. We'll breathe in and we'll exhale carefully. Turn the torso towards the floor. A slow, steady bend to bring the palms on the mat. Lift your right heel behind you. Here's our runner's lunge. Be sure your palms are strongly pressing into the ground. Lift your hips so you can slide this left foot back. And here's our plank pose. Hold. We'll see if we can hold this a tiny bit longer. More strength building in the body. Go ahead and bring both knees gently to the mat. We'll sit back and down towards the heels just to get off the hands. Let's go ahead and take a seat. So we'll go ahead and slide off the heels. Let's swing the legs around to the front. And then scoot so you're sitting in the center of your mat. We're going to lie down. So you can go ahead and lie down. I need to adjust my mat a little bit, then I'll join you. And we're going to lie down with the knees bent and feet flat on the floor. And we're going to get a little bit more into the hip. And this is eye of the needle pose, eye of the needle pose. And I like doing this pose, particularly in this class, as an alternative to pigeon pose. Now, I rarely do pigeon pose in this soft flow practice because it can potentially put too much pressure on the knees. So this is a way to do the pose, get the hip opener that we want without that strain on the knees. All right, so here's how we'll set it up. Let's go ahead and cross the left ankle over the right thigh. So you're just crossing your leg. You kind of form the number 4 in a way. So ankle over thigh, hold there for a moment, and then just kind of feel and just notice, do you feel anything on that left hip? And if you don't feel much, then we need to add on, because if you feel something here, then you may want to stay just like this. And if you want to add on, you're going to basically just pick up the right foot off the mat and just feel the legs come a little closer towards yourself. Take your hands, okay, lift your hands and take your left hand and thread the needle. Just take it through that little space and then either clasp your fingers around the right shin or right hamstring, just something to hold on to. Basically, just holding your legs in place as you've drawn the legs closer to you, okay? Now I'm really feeling this in my left outer thigh. I kind of feel this in my hamstring a little bit. So just notice where you feel this. And you can always adjust the sensation. If you need less, then you may want to bring the right foot closer to the floor. If you want more sensation, just keep hugging the legs in closer toward yourself.
Now, this is one of the poses that we'll hold a little bit longer, maybe not quite as long as the next pose that we get to, that deep lunge. But I really wanted to get into the hips, and this is a great way to do that. Again, a nice alternative to pigeon pose. So just take several breaths. You can always adjust. You don't have just to hold static here. If you need to move around a little bit or soften the pose, please do so. This is a way that we honor our bodies. Let's take 3 more breaths. And when we're complete, let's go ahead and bring the right foot back down to the mat, uncross the legs, just set both feet on the mat, knees still bent, and just kind of lie softly, relaxed here. As everything just kind of comes back to neutral, disengaging after that nice stretch. Hopefully you felt something in the left side there, either in the hip area, your glute, hamstring, or outer thigh. Let's set up for the other side. So we're going to cross right ankle over left thigh now, creating that number 4 sensation, and then check in here to see if this feels right for you, because you may not need to lift your left foot up off the ground. If you're not feeling much at all, let's go ahead and lift the left foot, lift your hand so you can thread the needle. So your right hand is the thread, going through that eye of the needle, clasp to hold on to the left shin or left hamstring. Adjust, settle in, notice the sensations that are starting to arise, breathe into it. Just take a deep breath and even imagine you're actually sending breath to where you're having sensation. Remember to adjust when needed. If you feel like you've created a little bit more space, then you maybe want to draw the legs in a little closer. If you've gone too far and you feel like you're pulling and you're forcing the stretch, then you may want to release. Remember, we want to keep that calm effect throughout the body, throughout the class. You want to feel like, oh, this feels easy. But you're certainly doing some really good quality work for your body. Notice your hips. I'm really starting to feel this in my outer hip, even in the glutes, my right hamstring, a little bit in my right thigh. Take 3 more breaths. When you feel complete, let's lower this left foot back down to the ground, uncross the legs, keep the knees bent, feet flat on the floor for a moment. You can just let your arms come down to the ground as well. Take a breath or 2 and let everything relax. Since we're lying down, let's take another hip opener here. Let's do reclining cobbler's pose. So let's just bring the feet and legs together. The knees are still bent, your feet are still flat on the mat, but just bring them together. Now then, take the knees out to the side. Just let them open out to the left and right side. And then press the soles of the feet together, just let the soles of the feet touch. We did this seated, now we're just doing it lying down. This really should tap into the inner thighs. And again, just rest here for a few moments. Nice relaxed feeling. Now, I don't know if your props are nearby, like your blocks or pillows, because sometimes taking the legs out like this, it might feel good initially, but if you hold here for a long time, it might feel like things are pulling in a way that might aggravate the inner thighs or even your knees. So you might want to tuck something underneath the knees so they don't drop down to the ground with that heaviness. So if that needs to be the case for you, just place something underneath the knees just to help soften that pulling feeling. But we're not going to be here too long. Maybe just 2 more breaths. After the second breath, to come out of the posture, just basically roll to either side. I'm going to roll to my left. So I'm going to bring my right knee over, roll to my left side, use my hands and help press my body up until I've come to seated. Let's go back to our hands and knees. So you may just want to swing the legs back behind you. Let's come to hands and knees here. Let's do a quick cat and cow flow. So inhale, look up or forward. Here's our arched back. That's that back bend. Exhale, round it all out, chin to chest, broaden the upper back. Let's do two more like this. Just adding a little bit more movement again through the pelvis, through the spine, your neck. Then just return to a neutral tabletop posture. All right, now let's hope that our blanket is still nearby. Bring that blanket and just slide it underneath you. So it's going to end up being between your hands and your knees, like this. Once it's in place, step the hands forward slightly. Spread out your fingers. Press palms into the ground. Strong arms. Tuck your toes. Mini cow. So it's an inhale, look forward, arch your back a little bit. Exhale, round it out to our mini cat. Hold that in place. Lift your knees, lift your hips. You'll return to downward facing dog. Your blanket's still there. You might tiptoe forward a little bit. Okay, here we go. You're going to inhale, extend your right leg up behind you. Reach nice and long through your toes. Exhale, bend your right knee. Bring it in underneath you towards your chest. Shifting body weight forward, shoulders over the wrists. Set the right foot down. It might even be right on the blanket. That's fine. Set your left knee on the blanket. Okay, so you can go ahead and pick up the right foot, step over the blanket, bring the foot up near your right hand. We're going to stay just like this. Bring both hands up to your thigh. So we're kneeling basically on the left knee, and your right foot's out in front. Just hold here for a moment. So we're getting set up for this deep lunge. Let's just hold here for a moment and just notice kind of these straight lines, these nice right angles in the body. We need to change that before we get into our lunge. All right, now we need our blocks or something that's going to give you some height. So we're going to bring the blocks in and place them maybe next to your right foot over here. All righty. Now I need to make an adjustment. You can stay where you are. I'm actually going to slide my blanket back a little bit. So I have a little bit more space. Okay. So from here, we're going to wiggle the right foot forward. Just start creeping the toes forward. So we've changed this right angle. It's no longer a right angle. So your foot is way out in front of your knee. Hands are still on your thigh. We're going to inhale, get very tall through the torso. As we exhale, your hips are just going to move forward. Everything shifts forward. You'll see that your knee will also move forward, and it will realign perhaps over the ankle. This is good because we don't want any pressure on this knee. We want to either keep the knee aligned over the heel or the ankle bone, rather than maybe over the middle of the foot or your toes. All right, so that's the right leg, but we want to pay attention to the left side. That's the hip flexor stretch. This is the first part of the pose. Now, if your blocks are handy, maybe something like this. I'm just resting my left hand. I just turned my block up, and I just feel a bit more supported right here as I hold for several breaths. And I can really feel kind of the heaviness in the hips, and I can just feel myself sink a little deeper. At any time you feel like your right knee is getting a little sensitive, I'm just going to wiggle the right foot forward a little bit so it takes some of that strain off the right knee. So this is part one. You can always stay in part one. Part two is just to lower a little bit and really just lean forward. Just lean forward. So your left hand maybe is still on your stacked blocks, but rather than sitting up nice and tall and straight, we've angled the upper body. And that just takes some of the sensation out of the low back, putting a little bit more emphasis on the left hip flexor. This is part two. Let's hold here. Deep breaths. The exhale, ideally creates a little bit more space in the left hip flexor, allowing you to sink a little deeper into the pose. Now remember, as I said at the beginning of the class, if you feel like you're holding a pose too long, you can always come out of the pose. I like to say that there's time limits sometimes on some postures where it feels great at first, but then after a period of time, your body does react. It wants to get out of the pose. And so that's moving into that stress response. All right, part 3, if you're able, you can always stay in part 2, but part 3, if you want to go a little lower, rather than my hand on the block, I'm bringing my forearm and elbow down to the block. So I'm going much deeper. Now I'm getting more sensation, not only in my left hip flexor, but in my right inner thigh. Again, if this is too low or too deep, okay, soften it up or go back to version 1 or 2, or come out of the pose completely. Pay attention to your breath here, since we're just holding in stillness. Each exhale, maybe you're imagining sending the breath into where you have the most sensation. I really feel this in my left hip, near the belt line, the top of my left thigh, and a little less so over on the right leg, but I do feel it in my right inner thigh. Let's take 3 more breaths. That's about as long as we will be able to hold this. I can even feel my body starting to react to being here. Okay. My right hand is on the ground, so I'm going to press into the ground so I can start to lift up out of this pose. Bring my left hand to the blocks, start pressing myself back up. Let's come back to this angled position right here, maybe something like this. Both hands on the floor or your blocks, a little lean to the left side, because I'm going to take my right leg and take it back behind me. So I'm on my hands and knees again. And if you're able, sit back briefly into hero. Just something like this. Very briefly, just to get out of that hip flexor stretch. Now bring the hands back out in front. Okay, so we've moved back to our hands and knees. Let's go ahead and tuck toes. Lift the hips. Downward facing dog. Let's go right away to the other side. So now an inhale to extend left leg up behind you, reach. Exhale, bend your left knee, bring it in underneath you towards your chest. Shift your body weight forward, same as before. Set the left foot down, it might be on the blanket. Set your right knee down onto the blanket. Hopefully it's still there. Reach back, pick up the left foot, bring it over the blanket to the top of the mat. Stay in this lunge. This is our second side. Rise up so your hands are on your thigh. So this is kind of the starting position. Again, the right angle here. All right. Now we don't want to just drive forward, because this is what I was talking about. We don't want that left knee in this case to be over the middle of the foot or over the toes. It puts too much strain there. That's not our focus. So instead, you might want to lean back a little bit, taking some of the pressure off the left foot so you can wiggle the foot forward, way out front there. Okay, let's go get those blocks again, or just bring them in onto the right side. Okay, here's the first part. So placing palms on the thigh. Inhale, get very tall, straight up. Exhale, feel the hips shift forward slowly and carefully. You can even see and feel your knees shift forward until it's over your heel or ankle. Pause right there. This is part 1. Okay, stay here. Let that initial stretch on the right side occur. If you want a little bit more support, use your blocks or on that whatever's on the right side there to rest your hand. Because we're tall right here, we're also in our backs, our low backs. That's why we want to stay up as possible, lifting up so we don't grind or put more pressure into the low back. 2 more breaths. We don't want to hold this too long because we want to get out of that low back sensation. I'm already going to move my left foot forward a little bit. Okay, now we start to lean forward. So your torso might even rest a little bit on this left thigh. We're getting out of that back bend feel. Okay, so we're in part two. Maybe you've lunged a little deeper, getting that heaviness, that sinking sensation in the right hip. And this might be where you hold and just be for the duration of the pose, okay? Breathing deeply, letting things settle, open, release. Again, if you need to rest, what you can do is, if you need a little pause, maybe you need to come out of the pose, pause for a second or two, and then come back into it. All right, part three, if you'd like, okay, just an option. So I'm going to bring my elbow down to the block. So it's taking me lower and deeper, more into the right hip flexor, and even into my left inner thigh. Now, I'm actually going to move my left foot a little bit out to my left side, just to the edge of the mat. And that gives me a little bit more space in the left leg, so I don't feel too bound up and I actually can kind of settle a little deeper into the pose. I'm kind of holding myself up. I have my left hand on the mat. My right elbow is on the blocks. Breathing deeply, feeling the sensation in the right hip flexor, upper thigh. See if you can get into the subtleties of where exactly you have feeling. Let's take 3 more breaths. When you're ready to move, maybe pressing this left hand into the mat so you can start to lift yourself up out of that deep sensation. Hands on the blocks. Keeping this angled posture for a moment. Okay, let's go back to kneeling. I'm just going to lean a little bit to the right side. Hands are on the blocks and ground so I can support my body as I swing that left foot back onto hands and knees. I'm just going to move my blocks out of the way, but keep them nearby. Do 2 breaths, cat and cow. 2 breaths, cat and cow. So that really completes our practice as far as our focal area of the hip flexors and inner thighs. Alrighty, we're going to lie down. So you might crawl off the blanket, then take a seat in the center of your mat, and go ahead and roll down onto your back again. Once you're here, go ahead and bring both knees to chest, give them a hug in. This is nice because it's kind of that counter pose to being in that hip flexor stretch, right? Then you may want to massage your back a little bit by creating some circles or rock gently left and right. If it feels okay, maybe forward and back. I really like the circles here because it feels like I can get into the hips a little bit, into the back. This nice little massage. Very good. Now, we're going to stay lying flat on our backs and extend the legs straight up into the air. Now, you can hold on to the legs anywhere. At the moment, I'm holding on to at the bend of the knees. Maybe you're holding on to your hamstrings. You can even reach up a little higher. Maybe you can grab hold of your calves. Maybe flex your feet, point your toes, flex, point, and then maybe some circles with the ankles. Just a little movement in that joint area. And let's get into the knees and hips. So you might do a little bicycle pedaling, something like this. And any other movement that feels natural to you or what might feel good at this moment. I even going to take a little hip opener where I'm taking the legs out to the side, getting a stretch in the inner thighs. And I like to continue a little bicycle pedaling here. I don't know if you can see me, but I took the legs wide and I'm pedaling a bicycle. Also a nice way to get into the hips. You might even take happy baby pose, maybe holding on to the bottoms of the feet. Send the feet up into the air, bending the knees. Press down so that the knees feel like they're coming down towards the floor on either side of you. You can either hold this or even add a gentle rock left and right. So we've just added another hip opener. And then when we're complete, go ahead and just take maybe 2 more breaths wherever you are. Then we're going to re-extend the legs straight back up into the air. Very energetic and strong. Then bend your knees so you can place your feet back down onto the ground. Pause here. Relax. As you're relaxing, feeling the body just melt into the ground, decide what your final resting position is going to be. We have a few more minutes, so you're welcome to move into Shavasana. Just long legs out front, arms down by your side, or use your plethora of props over here for any support that you might need. I'm going to take my bolster. You can use it as a headrest or to elevate your upper body. I'm actually going to take the bolster and place it underneath my legs, underneath my knees. Something like this. My knees are bent. It just feels so comfortable. It feels very natural to kind of have the legs slightly elevated with a bend in the knees. It relaxes my back. So just again, finding something that feels very comfortable for you. You might even unfold your blanket, either lay it over your body or lay it underneath your body. And once you've found your position, just relax. Close your eyes perhaps, and just focus on your own breath. When you come to Shavasana, feel free to stay here as long as you need to. Your body and mind are very well deserving of some rest, so take the time. Stay exactly where you are. No need to move. Just return to the awareness of your breath. Lie in stillness, focusing on your soft, easy breath. Once again, return to the awareness of your breath, the steady flow of your breathing. And as you return to this awareness, take 5 slow, deep breaths. As you're breathing, prepare your body to move. And as movement returns, slowly and carefully roll onto either side of your body, just moving into a nurturing posture. It'll resemble a fetal position. Just hold there for a moment, still breathing, noticing how you're feeling. Take one more breath, and then use a second breath to help press yourself up to a seated posture. Take your time, move in slow motion if you can. Even as you find a seat, maybe sitting on a cushion or block, legs crossed or extended out in front of you, with a nicely extended spine. And once you've found your seat, go ahead and inhale, extend your arms out and up, reaching for the sky. As you exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Take one more breath here in stillness. And as we complete our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste.